to get up.
Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out just to go through my whole entire gaming library. It could be a game, could be a limited edition, could be a console, but today we're going to be talking about none other than Spider-Man Remastered for the PS5, because this game right here is the definition of Insomniac greatness. I keep saying this for the longest time and I'll keep speaking on this though. If it weren't for Insomniac games, and if it weren't for Square Enix with some of their games they've been putting out on the PS5, I have no idea where Sony would be currently sitting at in terms of this great exclusives or the limited ones that they do manage to have. Let's just say console exclusives for the sake of this argument though. I don't know where they would be in terms of all of their exclusives for this one system right here though, because my goodness though, like Spider-Man Remastered is such a great and freaking phenomenal game though. And it was like one of the first few games I did manage to pick up with my PS5 system when I did manage to get it after COVID and stuff like that though. So, you know, there's a lot of, you know, things and stories I wanted to say about this game in particular though, and why it definitely kind of marked itself up on the map in terms of like great PS5 games that you could potentially play and a great overall series. Like, I don't think you can really go wrong with any of the Spider-Man games that are available to play on PS5 though. But yeah, that's basically going to be the topic for today's discussion for this collection reflection video though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Spider-Man Remastered. Now, it was interesting the way how Sony managed to handle this game because, you know, originally, you know, this game happened to launch like at least a year or two before the events of COVID had actually transpired. So this was originally a PS4 game though. I know some of the models and stuff were different for Peter Parker and stuff within that original game versus what we managed to get within this one though. So that put some people off though, but at least for me jumping up in it, since this is the first interaction I had with the series though, it didn't bother me, but I can understand why it might have bothered a lot more of y'all out there though. But at least for me personally, this is like one of the first few games I did manage to pick up with the PS5 though, and it was interesting because at least with this one particular version, for the remaster version that's exclusive to the PS5, they actually put that hand in hand in terms of the release for Miles Morales. That was originally a launch game that came out on the PS5. Then there was also Miles Morales for the PS4 though, but it was like something with the Ultimate Edition, I believe so, that basically had Miles Morales, which was originally priced at $50, but then you slap the Spider-Man game up on it, the remaster, for basically an additional $20. Boom, you hit that $70 price tag that we know a lot of PS5 games like to launch at now, for two great, amazing games though. I'll probably have, you know, some other stuff to say about Miles Morales at some point in the future though, but for the sake of this video, we're just focusing on just the original Spider-Man remaster version that was originally on the PS4 though. But overall, I say this game was freaking phenomenal. I mean, I remember playing some Spider-Man games back in the day, like on my GameCube and stuff. I can't remember exactly which one it's called, and I thought I had it in my GameCube collection though, but I have Spider-Man 2, the movie version though. But the one I remember playing, because I used to go to my orthodontist all the time though, and I remember on that one, I was like, you get to play as Venom, go around hacking, slashing people up, and then you like consume them to get back your HP and stuff. So that was like one of the very first few entries of like Spider-Man I was really familiar with though. And then fast forward all these years later though, I was like, wait a minute, this is like the way how the production for this game is, and oh my goodness, we talked about the cost of what they spent on these budgets for Sony in these games though. It's kind of ridiculous though, but it kind of shows for it though, in terms of like these cinematics and stuff, where you're looking at this and you're playing this game, it's like, am I playing the game or am I almost playing a movie during some of those cutscenes though? Yes, you might have some like time events like press the triangle, the cross button, the square, the circle at certain points though, or whenever it gets in those heavy cinematic moments though. But nonetheless though, the game is a freaking marvel to watch from start to finish though. And I really love the story they managed to portray with Peter Parker up in this one, though. It's not like they had to start back from the origin of like how Peter Parker managed to get his powers, though, because that story has been told, a dozen times at this point, though. Even if you look at the Marvel MCU stuff right now, it's like when they introduced Spider-Man into the MCU, it's like, hey, here you go in Civil War, and there you go. You don't need the backstory. Everybody knows about him and Uncle Ben and everybody else, though. So, yeah, it was just nice to be able to jump straight up in this mess, though. But then obviously, like the main draw of this game, though, was like it pulled a lot of stuff, I would say, from like Spider-Man 2. Like, Dr. Octavio, like he was primarily for the most part the big major honcho, though, but they did manage to have like several other enemies up in there, such as like Scorpio and stuff. So I mean, they managed to get a pretty broad band of like villains together, and it kind of paid off towards the very end of it. But that's kind of all I'll say about that, though. But yeah, you're just going through and swinging through the city. Man, oh man, you got a really good game when just traversing through the game is like half of the enjoyment. Like you might not necessarily be going through and doing like the main missions and stuff like that, wherever it happens to be for whatever you happen to be doing next in the story, though. But just having the web swinging physics, man, that's just something to say right there, though, because it just feels so good. This stringing around through New York City and this, flying and doing stuff. It is not just traditional, swinging, back and forth like if you were on a vine or something like that, swinging like a Tarzan. No, it's a lot more than that in terms of the physics of like how you get swung down to get skyrocketed up, or like you'll get new abilities as you progress through the game to get like these additional points that you can use to upgrade your equipment and stuff, to where you can like do like even like quick little web swing bursts where it's like you keep your horizontal momentum going like that, or you can do a quick thing where you kind of swerve around and do like a 90-degree turn around a building, though. I mean, it just feels nice. Like sometimes I'll just boot it up and I'll just fly around the city to see what kind of cops need help, or what kind of fighting or something like that might be going down in the streets or something like that, and some criminal activity and stuff. So it might just be good just to kind of chill and do that, though. But that's a good chunk of the game in terms of traversal, though. However, you do have, fast travel and stuff, and it's a lot faster now that you're taking advantage of the PS5 architecture, because originally on the PS4, it definitely took a lot longer in terms of you being able to load up like huge city areas and stuff when you want to warp a very far distance where you didn't want to web swing your way all the way over that great length. Now, in terms of the combat itself, man, it feels so great to be able to do all these different special moves and stuff. And there's a whole entire, like, I would say, like a skill tree that you're able to be able to unlock more different moves and stuff, where it's like stuff that helps with, Spider-Man's HP and stuff, or like his natural defense, or, certain moves that he's able to do once he starts web slinging and stuff like that, or just in terms of just normal like combos and stuff. It's a nice skill tree. It's not overly complex, which is one thing I really appreciate, though, because I like skill trees. I just don't like them when they go super complex in terms of like, just pressing and holding a button and just unlocking the ability. And if you really like it, you'll just remember to master it and get better at it, though. But yeah, there's some nice, cool tricks that Spider-Man does manage to learn, at least along the way, though. So I really do like and appreciate some of that stuff they do right there, though. But it's not even just some of his moves, though. I mean, yes, you're also able to unlock certain things with his abilities and stuff. So like even some of the gadgets he's going around and throwing. So like where it's like throwing like a little bomb that's like a web explosion thing that traps and ensnares a bunch of people, or you throw out these little spider bots and stuff that can actually help stun people and stuff. Tip the tide in your favor when you're doing these like 1v7 fights up in the streets, though, and stuff. And then obviously, yeah, sometimes your traditional combos won't work, but if you, swing around, go underneath somebody's feet or something, get on the back and then punch or kicking them, launch them up in the air and do air combos, it's so great. Now, granted, yes, the longer more you play this game, though, it might seem a little bit old, though, but at least for me personally, I didn't necessarily feel burnt out on the combat, though, because there's so many other things you can do within the city and the world itself, though. And then obviously you have some of the side quests, which I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of side quests, and I don't remember doing every single side quest up in this game, though, but some of the side quests are definitely rewarding in terms of the way how they treat it, though, because it feels like a little bit more than a step above a traditional side quest where it's like just a fetch quest. It's like, get this, and then meet me back here. Some of them feel a little bit more, and some of them have like a little bit of a deeper story that kind of goes along the way. So, those are some things I actually appreciate as well within the game, though. And then obviously you have all the different Spider-Man suits, and these make major callbacks in terms of like some of the stuff you see in the comics or things that you get to see within like some of the Spider-Man movies, or even some of the stuff like that are in the recent Avengers movies and stuff like different suits and stuff that Spider-Man had worn in like Infinity War and stuff like that. So honestly, there's some really great stuff in terms of whatever you want to rep and rock with Spider-Man. Hey, you're able to pull this mess out though. So honestly, those are some things that the game has done really well. And then obviously the story was great. It doesn't feel like the game outstood its welcome, because I feel like it's a tight about it ranges somewhere between 20 and 40 hours. I remember Spider-Man 2 was definitely like a little shy of 20 hours. I feel like the first Spider-Man game was a little bit longer than that. I think 30 hours is like the good average or so. And I always appreciate games that don't necessarily go too far over into like the 60 hours and stuff, because there's a lot of different minuscule things you can do in terms of like, reach this point here, take a picture of this or whatever. Though, like they have those small little activities like that you're able to do throughout the city that can kind of fill in the time as you're just kind of traversing through it, which I kind of like on that note. But I wasn't going to be like one of the people that just go through and 100% all that like little mini stuff right there though. And then also in terms of story, it wasn't just the main story. Obviously, given it enough time, it did manage to get some DLC for some other activities you're able to do as well. They introduced some other new baddies up in the game as well, which, by the time they had this version for the remaster out here, hey, you had all that DLC right there, or you didn't have to purchase it as an extra additional add-on. You just had it all right there though. So yeah, so I really did like all of the stuff from the main story as well as the DLC. I won't go too far up in it in case, those that happen to be watching this video hasn't played the games themselves though. But I think I did manage to do a DLC playthrough here on the channel. It's like one of my old streams or whatever though. So you can check that out on the channel, check through some of my playlists and stuff like that. And you'll see the Spider-Man remaster, like part 1, part 2, part 3, all kind of lumped together in one video or one playlist right there though. But overall, I really love my experience going through and playing Spider-Man Remastered. There's not a lot of, I would say, Sony games that kind of gravitate towards my interest. Like when I look at games like a God of War, or I look at a game such as like a Horizon or something like that. Like a lot of those games don't necessarily do it for me though. But the fact that I have familiarity with Spider-Man in general, I played some Spider-Man games in the past. I know of the character via the movies. It's really easy for me to be able to make that strong connection to it though. And then, just me going through and playing this, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, I got really interested in playing, some of the other games that they made, such as like, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And I just knew right then and there, hey, from all those games, Insomniac games is the go-to in terms of like some great PS5 experiences though. I'd even mention about the haptic feedback and stuff that you manage to get from the web swinging and stuff, or just some of the sound effects when you shoot out some of the webs and stuff. Like, man, that kind of is a game changer right there though. Like we heard about HD Rumble and stuff like with the Nintendo Switch though, but the haptic feedback that you get with some of these PS5 games, particularly with Spider-Man though, man, I think they took advantage of almost everything they possibly could with the architecture for the PS5 though. But overall, if you have a PS5 or you're looking to get one, this is definitely a must grab for this system though. Just go ahead and pick up the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition thing that comes with Miles Morales as well as Spider-Man PS5 Remastered though. And I think it's technically possible for you to actually purchase the remaster just by itself, but for the longest time you had to get the bundle with it though. But I think now they made the buying options a little bit more flexible though, so that's something I kind of appreciate though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all do you think about Spider-Man Remastered for the PS5, or you're someone like me who really enjoyed it and stuff like that, or maybe you might have played the original PS4 version back in the day, so you didn't really see a need to go back and play it again though. But you know what, they made a lot of good improvements, even if it's just in terms of the load times and stuff, in terms of traversing the city though, because I could imagine having really long wait times and load times in that original PS4 version compared to what I experienced with this PS5 version though. I mean, it was just nothing short of greatness right there though. But that's all I'm going to say right there. So if you really like this video, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.